Welcome to Tip of the Iceberg. Let's check out some videos.
Disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions are that of Tip of the Iceberg. Please do your own research as the clips haven't been fact-checked.
Never hear any political party talk about this, or hardly, certainly no major one. I don't hear the wokers talk about it. I don't hear any of them talk about it. This exchange of non-existent theoretical money called credit for real wealth and resources has sucked the wealth of the world into the hands of the few. Why are governments borrowing money from private banking systems and the population paying interest upon that borrowing? Why aren't the governments issuing their own currency interest-free and lending it to the population interest-free to go about their commerce and go about their lives, creating opportunities and choices that they wouldn't otherwise have? Why are we allowing a privately owned, in the end by a tiny few people, banking system to issue non-existent credit money and then be able to take the wealth of the people if they don't pay it back? And there's another thing on this. The same people that lend the money, the credit, dictate if the economy goes up or the economy goes down. Thus, they can lend lots of money and there's a boom. And then they can crash the economy and people can't pay back the wealth, the loans that they took out for no fault of their own, not because they're sitting on the side of the street saying, I'm not going to work. They want to work. Economy's knackered. So what happens then? Those that have lent the non-existent credit and crash the economy can then suck up all the wealth that was put as collateral for the non-existent money. Now, what we're going to see in relation to what I've just said is a frenzy of repossession of properties. A frenzy. If people want to focus on how we get our freedom back, then private banks lending money at interest, non-existent money called credit, has to end, or at least it has to be an add-on. We need a system, not a communistic system, but a system where governments are able to issue the currency interest-free. Because you say to people, how is money created? And they say, oh, the government does it. Well, almost entirely it doesn't.
They stopped backing the US dollar by gold back in the 1970s. Since then, it's become what they call a fiat currency backed by the government.
Y'all, I am freaking out right now. There's a lot of unexplained things going on in the ocean right now. Hold on real quick. I do not trust them. Just watch this real quick for me.
You get to Mars by going through the ocean. You can't get to the bottom of the ocean because outer space is the ocean.
Now, what she just said just blew my mind. Now, there's this situation called the firmament. So we know that water is all around us. And it is said that this dome divided the sea into upper and lower sections. You can't cancel this out because they still haven't discovered 80% of the sea. Early civilizations believed that the ocean and the stars above were linked. I mean, just look. Mayan, Norse, Hindu, Hebrew, all of them. Now, we already know what spacesuits look like, but they look exactly like sea suits. I know once in your life you've heard of the Bermuda Triangle. Planes and people going missing in the ocean. There are black holes in the ocean. And I just know once in your life you've heard about sea monsters. When you see a comet, it looks like a boat soaring through water. What if these unexplained species in the ocean are actually aliens? If y'all have ever watched this movie Underwater, they went too deep and found the creature that don't even look like it's supposed to be from this earth. Or could it have just been a creature from space? Now, you can say what you want, but I bet you we are not the only beings, only species, only creatures that are in this universe. It's just ironic that when they return to Earth, they're on water. I mean, I know I'm not tripping. And I know y'all heard of mermaids. So many unexplained things in the ocean. They're making more discoveries in space. Not really putting too much money or caring about what's going on the planet. Why? Because this sea stuff might have a lot of connections to space. And they not telling us. Y'all be safe, and I know I'm not the only person who feel this way.
Check out the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 6 through 8. Also Psalms 19:1. Both of those reference the firmament that she's talking about.
Kardashians might be hiding something disturbing. Okay, so there is a theory that in the 1800s, an ancestor of the Kardashians sacrificed her soul to 4 witches so that all the women in her bloodline will always have fame, success, and beauty. But on the flip side, every single man they have a relationship with will suffer. And the crazy thing is, Kylie Jenner literally said it herself.
Every male figure that comes and dates a Kardashian, their life kind of just goes downhill after.
Rob Kardashian going from model to actor to having severe depression and not being able to leave his house. Scott Disick, who was a very successful businessman, to struggling with alcoholism and depression. Lamar Odom, who is a very successful basketball player, started dealing with addictions and overdoses. Next up is Travis Scott, who is one of the most successful artists in the world, has one of the most disastrous concerts in history, and hasn't dropped an album in years. Bruce Jenner transitioned to Caitlyn Jenner and got ostracized by her whole community. And finally, we have Kanye, and I think we all know about Kanye.
Generational curses are spoken of throughout the Bible. You can rebuke those curses in the name of Jesus Christ, or just don't date a Kardashian. What do you think?
Cuando vuelva la luz, va a volver a explotar. Oye, justo hay una micro ahí, weón. Conche tu madre.
Could this be one of the DEWs, direct energy weapons, or is it just good CGI? Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Hidden Archive video number 21.
Look up hidden inappropriate images in kids' films. You'll find a lot more examples of these.
Satan's true name is God. We are not supposed to be calling upon the name God, and I'm going to show you. So I'm reading from the book of Enoch, which was removed from our Bibles. This is referring to a type of angels and their names. And the third was named Gadriel, or shortened would be God. He it is who shown the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve. So this is literally talking about Satan, the one who led astray Eve, right, in the garden. His true name is Gadriel, which shortened would be God. Now if you go on Google and you type in God definition, you'll see this little name pop up next to it, G-A-D. God. The same way it's pronounced in Enoch, with that little vowel point above the A. Now look at this. Baal God means Lord of Fortune. Why do you think on the back of our money it says, "In God we trust"? It's not talking about the Most High of the Bible. This is a reference to Satan, the evil one. Now check this out. Every time you see Baal in the scriptures, it actually is just the Hebrew word for Lord. So we're not supposed to be calling him Lord either. Right? Go into the Blue Letter Bible, click on Baal, and you will see it literally means Lord, which is the name they planted over the name Yahuwah 7,000 times in the scriptures. Every time you see in all caps the Lord, it was originally his name, Yahuwah. If you don't believe me, go fact check me. I have studied to show myself approved, and I'm just revealing to you guys what I have found. Don't shoot the messenger. Now remember what I said, we're not supposed to be calling him Lord because it actually means Baal. Go to Jeremiah 23 verse 27, whose true name is Yirmiyahu, who attempt to cause my people to forget my name for Baal, or Lord. Remember guys, Satan is literally the father of lies. Look at this. However, the word Baal means Lord. Look it up. Right, a proper terminology would be Elohim or Elohim. It means mighty one. But we should really be calling upon his name. Now, I can confidently say that the Most High knows our hearts, right? And he is abundant with grace and mercy. But now that you have this information, do your research on the name of Yahuwah and pray about it. Right? Don't treat this pearl like a swine. We all need to study to show thyself approved, right? That is a duty that we all have. So don't just push this aside and continue to say God. Go do some research and prayer. I'll see y'all in the next one. Don't forget to like and follow.
I think at John Truth did an excellent job explaining that one.
Back in 2005, was Joe Biden telling America something?
Our constitutional journey did not stop then, and it must not stop now, Judge. And we'll be faced with equally consequential decisions in the 21st century. Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over. Can brain scans be used to determine whether a person is inclined toward criminality or violent behavior? You will rule on that. And Judge, I need to know whether you will be a justice who believes that the constitutional journey must continue to speak to these consequential decisions, or that we've gone far enough in protecting against government intrusion into our autonomy, into the most personal decisions we make. Judge, that's why this is a critical moment.
Could the new RFID checkout counters we see at gas stations and grocery stores and other merchants, could that be part of this technology that's going to be eventually put into our hands, as the book of Revelation talks about? Tell me what you think in the comments below.
Y'all, I was reading the Bible last night and I got so disgusted with myself. I was in Deuteronomy 14, it talks about clean and unclean food. If it does not specify anything else, it clearly says, do not eat the pig. It basically talks about how we ain't supposed to shave or cut our hair. That's how it start off. And then they start telling you about the things you can't eat. The deer, the goat, the ox. It says the pig is unclean. You are not to eat their meat or touch their carcasses. And I got disgusted back at every time I remember I ate the pig. And no wonder why y'all getting sick. Y'all not supposed to be eating that stuff. Then they start talking about the creatures that live in the water. It says only eat it if it has fins and scales. We only supposed to be eating fish. We aren't supposed to be going to the bottom of the ocean eating them shrimp and crab like that. And I started getting disgusted at every time I remember I did a seafood boil, eating crab legs, shrimp, all that stuff. We're not supposed to be eating it. Even the odor that stuff leave afterwards, like, it shows how much it's unclean. Then they started talking about the different type of birds you're supposed to eat. It don't really specify nothing about chickens. It basically said any creature with wings that you clean, you may eat. So I'm feeling like the chicken is okay. But that made me dig deeper into the Bible and go look at all the verses that talk about fasting. And one that really caught my attention so harder than ever is the Daniel fast. I know y'all probably heard of the Daniel fast, but it was basically they ate fruits and vegetables for 10 days straight. And they only drank water during that time. And they were healed from everything. They looked good. And they survived through all the other things. So they basically tell you that if you do that type of fast, your body gonna be healed from a whole bunch of different everything. Like, it's basically that fast was for health related issues and seeking God's favor and finding out what your purpose really is. So the Bible really is everything and more. It tell you anything and everything you need to know. The recipe for this, the recipe for that. But that made me realize that I'm never eating a pig again. And that made me see like why people probably kind of sick, because they consuming that type of shit. Pork chop, bacon, all of this stuff gotta go. Like, we not supposed to be eating the pig. And I feel like I've been eating a pig my whole life, so I gotta stop eating the pig. I gotta leave the pig alone, and I'm done with the pig.
Well, I know a lot of people are allergic to shellfish, so there's that. Also, pork tends to be a kind of a greasy meat, and it does tend to weigh heavy on your gut and not make you feel too well, so maybe there is something to this. Tell me what you think in the comments below.
This Bible from 1813 has something very interesting. It is a facts page that contains a list of people and events in chronological order. It says, whereupon we reckon that from Adam unto Christ are 3,947 years, 6 months and 10 days. And from the birth of Christ to this present year is 1814 years. Then the whole sum and number of years, from the beginning of the world unto this present year is 5,788, 6 months, and the said odd 10 days. In the year 1814 the world really was 5,788 years old. This year, 2022, the earth would be approximately 5,998 years old.
Pope Gregory XIII commissioned the replacement of the Julian calendar with the Gregorian calendar. Could this be a reference to the book of Daniel 7:25? What do you think in the comments below?
Who is Enoch?
You know that Enoch was a real powerful man because he's talked about in the Bible. Yet his book is not in the Bible. It was left out by accident on purpose. And the reason why is because he's talking about beings that were not from earth, that came here from up above and engaged mankind. They taught us how to build weapons. They taught us about perfume and makeup, taught us how to make jewelry and beer and all this other crazy stuff, right? They were having sex with humans. So these weren't like the angels that we're thinking with the fluffy wings. These were people. And these beings that came to visit gave him an appointed date that he would be taken away from Earth. And so he got taken away from Earth, and he didn't describe the shape of the Earth, a gigantic blue glowing sphere. He went away for a while, then comes back.
Actually, if you read the book of Enoch, you'll see that it's clearly referencing spiritual beings or fallen angels. It goes on to give their names and what they taught mankind.
You are being lied to because no one has ever been in space. There is a theory that suggests we have never explored space due to a transparent barrier surrounding our world. Beyond this barrier, there is no open space or vacuum, but rather water. It may all sound crazy, but in 1962, the U.S. government detonated a few nuclear bombs in the sky, allegedly to test the atmosphere's reaction to their explosion. So they want us to believe. However, some claim that they were actually attempting to see if they could break through this invisible barrier. Ironically, this program was called Operation Fishbowl. This theory is fueled by the observation that many have noticed stars appear to twinkle or shimmer through a liquid-like substance when viewed with the naked eye or through a camera. Rocket enthusiasts have also noted that the rockets we have launched seem to encounter an invisible ceiling, creating an effect similar to what one would observe in water.
What is the government so afraid of? The U.S. Navy sets off a 40,000-pound bomb in the Atlantic Ocean, 100 miles from the coast of Florida, saying that it was only a military exercise. However, looking at the footage of the explosion, it definitely didn't seem like a regular military exercise. Furthermore, it's known that there are unknown creatures or aliens living deep in the ocean. So, could it be possible that it wasn't a military exercise, but a cover-up to take out a deadly threat in the ocean? With this suspicious military exercise, many are asking,
check out Operation Dominic. Don't go anywhere. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I hope you enjoy this final video. Thank you and God bless.
Reason you cannot trust the Bible is because it advocates slavery. Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out. The second greatest miracle of the Old Testament was what? The Exodus. What's happening in the Exodus? God is delivering the Hebrew slaves from slavery in Egypt. But there was slavery that was recorded in the Bible. Yes, that's right. There's slavery that's recorded. There's polygamy that's recorded. There's rape that's recorded. There's murder that's recorded. Never is the Bible saying these are good. Rather, the Bible is helping people living in a corrupt, depraved culture learn how to deal with it. Exodus chapter 21, verse 16. It says very clearly, if you kidnap someone and are caught with them in your possession or having gotten rid of them and sold them, you must be put to death. You kidnap somebody and you're caught with them in your possession as your slave, or you've sold them to somebody else, you are to be put to death. When you get to the New Testament, you're in the Roman Empire, and over 50% of the people in the Roman Empire were slaves. Doctors were slaves, lawyers were slaves, business people were slaves. It was like indentured servants. Were some of those slaves mistreated? Tragically, yes. A lot of those slaves, though, were treated very respectfully. Now, when Paul says, slaves, obey your masters, what he's doing is he's not saying that slavery is good, but he is saying Christians Christians do not follow Spartacus and cause a slave rebellion in the Roman Empire, because that's really going to mess things up. Instead, respect your masters, understand that freedom is best. And when you study the abolition of slavery around the world, usually it is motivated by followers of Christ, like Frederick Douglass here in the United States, who understood biblically all human beings are created in the image of God. Therefore, to enslave someone is absolutely evil. And they fought against slavery for the abolition of slavery, and they succeeded, because Jesus Christ and the Bible teach that no man, no woman is inferior to anybody else, because God created all of us in his image.